Good morning and happy Monday to you. And welcome to Transform Your Life in 15 Minutes. My name is McAdams. I am an author. I'm also an accounting professor and a certified life coach. I specialize in personal and small business finance and fitness. I help people reach their goals. And I want to welcome you on this glorious Monday to this live broadcast. This is where we're going to be doing 5-minute exercises, one each for the mind, the body, and the soul. Now, if this is your first time joining me, welcome. And of course, welcome to all my live viewers out there. And of course, to the ones that are watching the recording as well. I really do appreciate your support. And I'm happy that you're joining me in the effort of us transforming our lives together. All right, so what we're going to be doing, if this is your first time, we're doing 5-minute exercises, as I mentioned previously. And for the soul portion, we're going to be doing a 5-minute guided meditation, which is going to be the last part of the broadcast. And then for the body portion, we're going to be doing a 5-minute yoga routine. And for the mind portion, we're actually going to be reading out of my book. It's a book that I wrote 3 years ago that is called Your Body, the Perfect House, how to find your true purpose and live a balanced life. And so I'm excited about this book. Again, I wrote it 3 years ago, but it hasn't been released yet. I'm actually working with a publisher, and it should be done by sometime this year. So I'll have more information for you right now. Like right now, I'm trying to get the jacket cover designed, and then I'll have like a sign up and all that information for you. Okay, but in the meantime, don't worry because I'm excited about bringing this information to you in this live broadcast. So with that being said, today we are actually going to be working in the kitchen. Now, before I move on to today's talk, I want to just kind of briefly explain to you, particularly if you've not seen this broadcast before, I want to kind of explain to you about the house and what I'm talking about as far as we're in the kitchen and getting excited about it. Now, first thing I want to mention is that all of these recordings, I've been doing my book or reading out of my book since June, the 1st of this month. So they are all recorded on my YouTube channel. All you have to do is just go to YouTube and then just search for Pia McAdams and you'll see all the recordings from June 1st. Matter of fact, all the recordings, I originally started back in April, but from my book is from June. So my book is an analogy of your body with the house. So a house has rooms in it, whereas your life has areas. And so what I do is I take the rooms of the house and then, of course, identify it with the areas of your life. So, for example, the living room is indicative of your financial area. And the kitchen, which we're going to be starting today, is your physical area. We have the 2 bathrooms, which is the left brain and the right brain, which comprise of your emotional area. We have the office, which is your spirituality. And then we have the bedrooms. There's 2 bedrooms, and that's indicative of your relationship with yourself and your spouse. And, of course, the relationship with others. Okay, so today we are going to be in the kitchen, and one of my second areas that I specialize in is physical fitness. Again, I've been in the fitness industry, oh my gosh, for over 20 years. Like seriously, it's been that long. I'm also a aerobic instructor and certified personal trainer, and so again, this is one of my specialties that I love doing. And I don't want to talk about statistics and everything because, we know about that, right? In other words, all you have to do is just look around. But right now, I want to give you information that's going to be useful to you. And to start off with, I want to start off with a quote that says, and this is by Jim Rohn, who says, "Take care of your body because it's the only place that you have to live." Okay. So today I want to talk about diet versus a lifestyle change. And I want to talk about this because we use that word diet for every single thing, right? But it really has 2 meanings. Diet means the food that you eat, as far as your nutrition is concerned. And then we also use the word diet to relate to a temporary, like some kind of a special course or a temporary restriction in order for you to lose weight. And then, of course, we have a lifestyle change. And with the lifestyle change, that comprises of both your diet and other things, such as, reducing your stress, getting enough getting enough sleep, and then also making sure that you include exercise and a whole bunch more. Okay, so although when I'm working with people, I more so recommend a lifestyle change. For this broadcast, I'm only going to be talking mainly about diet as it relates to food, the food that you eat. I'm not talking about the temporary restriction, okay, but right now just about the food that you eat. And when it comes to your diet, I want you to think in terms of the Pareto rule or the 80-20 rule. And I usually say this at the end I used to teach a grit class, and I used to say this at the end of every single class. When it comes to your nutrition, think of the 80-20 rule. And I say, just think in terms of eating healthy 80% of the time. Okay, so eat healthy 80% of the time. And then you want to think about eating healthy 10% of the time, and then eat unhealthy 10% of the time. Okay. So but I usually say it a different way. I usually say eat healthy 80% of the time, eat unhealthy 10% of the time, and then think about eating healthy 10% of the time. And that part that you're thinking is the part that you're not eating. Okay. So I want you to keep that in mind. And it would be presumptions of me to tell you, like, the right way to eat and all of this, as it is for anyone, right? Because you're different. And that's one thing that I want you to understand, is that you are different. So what you hear me talking about and what you hear other articles or other people, or when you're reading or doing your research, what they're talking about, is just a general rule. Okay. There's no one fix that's gonna apply to every single person, because everyone is different. Okay. So first off, let me just kind of backtrack and remember what I've been talking about since the very, very beginning. And if you've not seen it from the very, very beginning, don't worry, I'm going to talk about it again now. At the beginning of just about every single broadcast, I usually say, mind, body, and soul. And I say, because we're working on our whole, and our whole consists of 3 parts, right? Mind, body, and soul. And I also usually mention that 2/3 of those parts, namely the body and the soul, are located inside, whereas the body is located on the outside. And I generally go on to say that if you're working on just the body, it's like working on the outside of your house, right? And then when you work on your outside, it may look immaculate and clean and perfect and whatnot and attractive. But if you live on the inside, which we all do, and it's a disaster area, then you're not going to be happy, okay? So I want you to apply that as well when we're talking about the physical portion or your eating, okay? So when we're talking about the eating, make sure I want you to understand this. When we're talking about different things to do, this is just a general rule, but as it relates to you, your best bet to find out what's going to work for you is to ask your body, for you to learn your body and specifically learn what works for you. And that's going to comprise of different techniques and trial and error. And then really just like sitting down, meditating, and just listening to your body, thinking about when it is that you're eating, find out what your habits are that's comprising of your eating. And you're going to find that, guess what? A lot of time that you're eating when you're emotional, when you're stressed, when you're bored, when you're upset, all those negative influences in your life is when you're going to find out when you're eating. And a lot of times, one of the things that kind of, irks me, and I'm pretty sure it does those that are overweight as well, people say, oh, just push the plate away, as if it's that simple. If it was that simple, right, you just do it. But what people don't realize is that a lot of times, particular if you're really overweight, okay, it really has the obesity or the extra weight that you're carrying is really a symptom of something deeper. It's something within you. It's something emotional that you're trying to cover up, and you're using eating as that way to cover up. So I don't want you to feel bad if, you hear people say, push the plate away, because again, they just think in terms of they're just ignorant because they don't understand it. It's not about just pushing the plate away. It goes a little deeper. And so that's number one I want you to understand. Okay. So if you're overweight, like extremely overweight or obese, then, and by the way, let me define, right? Overweight or being overweight or being obese means you're carrying around excess body fat or abnormal body fat that, may impair your health. Now, generally speaking, the general, like let's say the physicians, they use something called a BMI, and that's the body mass index. And that's the way that they determine your fat intake. In other words, your whole body, what percentage of your body is fat. Okay. And so how they calculate that is they take your weight, and it's usually in kilograms, and then they divide it by the square of they take your height, and then they divide it by the square of your weight, which is usually in meters. Your height is in meters, your weight's in kilograms. I'm getting all excited here. Okay, so they divide it by the square of that, and then they come up with a percentage, right? So in other words, what they say is that if your BMI, your body mass index, is equal to or greater than 25, you're considered overweight. Okay, so again, if your BMI is greater than or equal to 25, then that means that you're considered overweight. Now, if your BMI, your body mass index, is greater than or equal to 30, that means you're obese. Now, understand again that that's just a general guideline that practitioners use because it's a way that they can do that for all adults, for all ages and all sexes. But I don't want you to get, bogged down. I mean, obviously, when they tell you your BMI, first off, right? You're looking at yourself and you know how you feel. You know how you feel or how you look is the way that you want to look. And if that's not the case, you don't really need the doctor telling you that, right? What the doctor is going to be really stressing on is how it's going to affect your health. And the reason why I'm saying this is because we get so bogged down on these freaking numbers, okay? Even on the scale. And I usually tell my clients, throw away the scale, because that is not an indicator of how you're doing health-wise. That number is going to fluctuate throughout the day, all day, depending on everything, okay? Like seriously. For instance, if you have a healthy relationship with your scale, then yes, use it. But for the most part, most people don't. They have an unhealthy relationship with their scale. So I say just get rid of it, because it's a bad habit to have. There's better ways to gauge your progress, such as using a measuring tape and measuring your inches, because guess what? Your inches can go down. You can start off with the weight. By the way, your circumference of your weight, they say for women, it should be no higher than 35, and for men, it should be no higher than 40. So you can actually take a measuring tape and measure your waist, and then your waist can go down. You can go down from let's say a 35 to a 33, but your weight stays the same. And you're sitting here worried about the freaking weight on the scale, but you're actually losing inches, which would mean your clothes are fitting, like you're actually fitting loosely into your clothes, and you're not celebrating that. You're just working on or worried about the freaking scale and what that number says. Okay, so number 2, I don't even know what numbers I'm saying, but I'm kind of like just ranting right now because I just get so passionate about this, particularly as it comes to health and fitness, because it is important, right? You want to make sure that you're going to be around. There's longevity in your life, and then the quality of your life, right? So I don't want to sit here and say you should weigh this amount and you should be this, that, or the other, because it's all going to be dependent upon you. How do you feel? Don't let society dictate how you feel or how you look or how you should look. Do that internally. How do you feel internally? What's going on inside? If you work on the inside, I promise you it will manifest on the outside. If you just work on the exterior, then guess what? You'll make changes. However slowly you get there, you'll make changes. However, once you get there, you won't be happy. You just won't, because again, you're working on the inside. And so I've seen it time and time again where I have clients that end up losing a lot of weight. And even though everyone's giving them all these kind of compliments and everything of how great they look and, have the before and after picture, internally they weren't happy. So eventually they ended up going back to the weight they were. So that's when I started changing the way that I was helping them by making sure that they focus more on the inside as well as the outside. Okay, so when we're talking about diet, again, 80-20 rule, eat healthy 80% of the time. Now, when it comes to eating healthy, again, it would be presumptuous of me to talk about you should do low calorie, whole grain and all that. I'm not going to do that for you. You know why? Because guess what? There is so much false information. There's so much discrepancy. There's so much deceptiveness in the advertising that right now, even if you try to eat healthy, how do you even know that you are? Because they're doing so much with the advertising. I want you to understand that, when we're going to get like big food companies that are making a lot of money. And so they're doing all these deceptive advertising. Like they'll say, no MSG. And then you're like, oh, good, this doesn't have no MSG, so I'm going to buy it. Well, guess what? It shouldn't have it anyway. So just because they said it doesn't have it in there, you're just thinking they're putting your mind on the fact that it doesn't have it in there, not on the fact that it shouldn't be in there to begin with. Okay, so there's deceptive in advertising. So I want to think in terms, again, I want to approach it like an overall lifestyle and what works best for you. Only you can determine that. But I am going to give you some information about, what does it say? What does it mean to be low fat or low carb or whole grain? I will give you information on this broadcast about different areas of that, but I don't want to say that this is the best way to eat for you. Now, throughout my years, I've done different types of, and they're not really diet, they're more like the way of lifestyle. Like, for instance, I did the paleo, which I really, really enjoy. And matter of fact, my book really stresses the paleo, because that's the normal way to eat. And I'll talk about that as well. I've done vegetarianism. Now with the vegetarianism, I really couldn't do that too long because I love my sushi. So then I said, okay, I'll become a pescatarian. So right now, that's mainly what I've been eating is pescatarian. But even now, I'm now switching off and going back to regular eating. And I'll explain to you why throughout the broadcast, okay? Because there's a reason why I was going from one to the other. It wasn't because I was just kind of skipping around. But there was a reason, and the main reason is I started doing research on how they were processing the food and what they were doing to the animals, and understand that that's important, because think about it this way. If they're feeding the animals, let's say corn, which they do, to get fat, right? To fatten them up so that they have plenty of food and they can just, make a lot of money. They're fattening up the animals. Understand that if we now then eat that meat from the animals, we're going to get fat too. Okay, doesn't that just make sense? Like if you're fattening up the animals, if you're putting hormones and steroids and all kinds of things in the animals for them to get fat, and then we're eating the meat from the animals, then we're going to get fat too. So that's why I started restricting the meat that I was eating, and that's when I started going to the pescatarian. Then I found out they were feeding fish corn too. So it's like, oh my God, you can't win for losing. So anyway, when it comes to the diet versus lifestyle, I want you to understand this, because this is another thing that I hear a lot of, and just even recently, matter of fact, last week, I was talking with someone, and this person was saying, oh yeah, my friend lost 40 pounds and all she did was she was just eating these shakes, all organic, and just eating these shakes and everything, like, and she lost all this weight. First off, let me explain to you that when we're talking about a diet, if your purpose of going on a temporary diet, I'm not talking about overall how you're eating, I'm talking about the second definition of diet. If your overall intent is to lose a few pounds for a special occasion, like there's a wedding coming up, or there's a high school reunion, or there's, whatever, and you only have a few pounds to lose, 10, 15, 20 pounds, 25 pounds to lose, then, diet has its place, right? So I'm not saying all diets are bad. They have their place. For instance, back in 1999, I did a bodybuilding contest. Now, if you know anything about bodybuilding and you've seen how like people look with their muscles and everything, that diet is horrible. Like seriously, it's horrible. It's not a healthy diet at all. I mean, to the fact that on the last couple days, I was just eating like grapes and ice, and ice cubes, like seriously, because I had to deplete the water on my body, right? So it wasn't healthy, but I was only doing it temporarily for a show. It wasn't a lifestyle change. It wasn't something I was trying to do to get, to get help, to lose a lot of weight, and then don't worry about what's coming up next. Okay. So understand that if you do embark on dieting, and I'm talking about the temporary fix, it is a temporary fix, which means after you start doing whatever it is that you were doing for that diet, like once you start back going to your regular eating, which you will, then guess what? That weight is going to come back. And 9 times out of 10, more weight is going to be added to it. Okay. So in other words, if you, for the rest of your life, let's say that you have a lot of weight to lose, like let's say over 30 pounds, you have a lot of weight to lose, and you say, okay, I'm going to only eat organic and I'm only going to drink shakes. If you're going to do that for the rest of your life, it's going to work for you. Okay. But you're not going to do that for the rest of your life. So understand that's going to be temporary. And why am I telling you this? Because yes, you will lose those 30 pounds or whatever the weight loss is, right? You'll lose them. You'll be miserable in the process. You're going to be cranky because you're doing restriction to your calories, gross restrictions, something that you're not used to. You haven't even discussed the habits and all the other stuff that's really affecting why you're overweight to begin with. You're just doing a temporary fix. So understand that the minute you stop that diet, you're going to go back to whatever the weight you were, and then possibly even more. Okay, so that's number one. That's why we want to, that's number 3, right? That's why we want to make sure that it's more of a lifestyle change. Okay, so when we're talking about the lifestyle changing, and it's about eating healthy, and what does that really mean? If we want to talk about eating healthy, let's start off with something that you can do today. Okay, something you can do today, and that is limit the amount of processed foods that you eat. And notice I said limit, because when it comes to your diet, I don't want you to restrict it totally, because guess what? You're not going to do it. I mean, you'll do it for a while, but next thing you know, you're going to go out and eat, or something's going to happen where you don't prepare, and then you're going to grab something that's processed. So that's why I said limit. Okay, so that's something you can do today. It's just make a decision that, you know what, I'm going to limit the processed foods that I make. Now you say, well, Pia, what do you mean by processed food? Put it to you this way. If it's in the box, it's processed. Okay. When you go to the grocery store, if you're shopping on the inside aisles, then it's processed. Okay. So if you go to a grocery store, stay on the outer rim or the outer perimeter of the grocery store. That's where you find your fruits and your vegetables and your dairy and your meats. Okay. All of that is going to be on the outside perimeter of the grocery store. That's where you want to do the majority of your shopping. Does that mean don't go into the middle aisles? I'm not saying don't, I'm just saying limit it. Okay, so limit. Now, if If your ideal goal is to lose weight for a certain event, diet is the perfect thing to do that, because it's something slow, it's temporary, but that is, it's not going to be a long-term effect. If it's something you want to do have a long-term lasting effect on you, you need to incorporate a lifestyle change. And in order to do that, you have to first think about or know why you are eating. Because I don't want to just tell you to do this, that, and the other. I told you that, right? You first have to go internal and think, why are you eating? So you know what I usually do with my clients? The first thing I have them do is write a journal. Okay, so get out a journal. And then first off, I want you to write down everything that you're eating. Okay, everything that you're eating. Write down when you're eating and how you're feeling. You're like, oh my God, Pia, there you go. There's a professor. You're coming out with these assignments. Well, you know what? If you want to affect change, it's going to require that you do something different. And I didn't say it was going to be easy, right? But if you want a temporary fix, I can tell you, yeah, go do that and the other, and then you'll lose weight. But guess what? You'll be coming back to me later saying, guess what? I gained that and more. But if you want to make lasting results or have a lasting results, long-term effects, you have to do the hard work. So that requires getting internal to find out what's going on inside of you that's making you eat. Doesn't it? Like, for instance, wouldn't you want to address the problem as opposed to just addressing the symptoms of the problem? It's going to be more effective and more efficient if you address the problems. So figuring out why you're eating. Now, doing this journal is actually twofold. One, it's going to help you see your eating patterns and your habits and why you're eating, because you're writing down what your emotion. And then number two, just the fact that you have to write down every single time that you eat, you're gonna be like, oh wait, I don't want to eat this. I'm not really hungry. I'm not gonna eat. Okay, so it's actually it's twofold of why I want you to do the journaling. Okay, so I think that's enough for today. Again, this was more about diet versus lifestyle. I'll talk more about water intake, and again, I'll talk more about what's considered healthy. So this area, the physical area, the kitchen area, this is another big area in your life, which is why I decided to address it next. In my book, this is actually chapter 8. It's getting physical in the kitchen, but I decided to cover it right after the financial one, because it's another big area, and two is one of my another ones that's my forte. This is something I've been doing, like the financial, for an extended period of time. Now, with that being said, if you have any questions that you want me to answer on this live broadcast, as a matter of fact, I may even, depending on how many what the response I get, I may even do a separate broadcast where I just do a Q&A. But either put it in the comments below, or if you're too ashamed to write in the comments, because I get more messages, private messages, than I do in the comments, which is fine. But if you do have questions that you have regarding health and fitness, write it to me, message me and ask me the question, and I'll either cover on this live broadcast in the morning, or if there's a lot of questions, then I'll do a separate broadcast where I just do like an Ask Pia, and it's a Q&A based upon health and fitness. Okay, and it can cover anything from nutrition, because again, I've been in this industry for a long period of time. It can be nutrition. It can be about what you say you want more information on what does it mean to learn your body, because if you understand your body, that's number one. Okay, number one is understanding how you work, and then when you're hearing these general rules, you'll understand that it's a general rule, and you won't be offended or slighted when it doesn't apply to you, or when you say that's just not logical, or that's just not, it doesn't work for me. Well, it doesn't work for you because it's going toward the general rule. And who knows when you're looking at these statistics, or when you're looking at these different informations that they're recommending to you, you don't know what they're basing their study on. It's usually the average person. Who's considered average nowadays? It's usually the average healthy person. Well, what does that mean? Okay, so in other words, that's why I want you to understand it's just a general rule. Like, on the average, this is what we recommend. Okay, but as it relates specifically to you, the only way that you can determine what's going to work for you is by you. I can't even tell you what's going to work for you. I can tell you, generally speaking, this is what you can do that will work for just about everybody. But as it specifically relates to you, only you can make that determination, because we're all individual and we're all different. Okay, so I hope this makes sense, and I hope this kind of inspires you, particularly if you're feeling bad about the extra weight that you're carrying. I want you to understand that it's generally a symptom of something deeper, depending on the weight. And again, I'm talking about maybe over 30 pounds. If you're 10 to 20, 25 pounds overweight, that could just be, temporary, whatever, a little stress is what's going on. But if you're really seriously obese, Understand that it is a symptom of something bigger. And I know I said I was going to end, but just to kind of put another like cherry on that, or a little check mark on that point, even if you decide to go a drastic measure and do that bypass surgery, because I've known several people that have done it, guess what? Eventually you will still gain that weight if you don't address what's going on inside. Okay? So that's why when you're looking at people, and this is for everyone, don't make judgments about what's going on by the outside appearance, because you never know. Okay, you never know what's going on. It's not as simple as just pushing the plate away. It's it's more so of, again, emotionally what's going on, and it's also a combination of habit, stress. Life is stressful, and then we look in the media with these celebrities, and remember, the celebrities have a lot of money, so they have money that can buy resources that will help them get into shape. They hire the personal trainers, they hire the cooks, and it's different, right? You may say, well, yeah, I can have food delivered to me. You can, but do you eat it? Do you eat it? So when they have, like, for instance, they can have someone on there that come to them every single day, particularly if they're getting in shape for a movie. They can have someone come to them every single day and just kind of like be in their ear just about all day. They have the resources to do that. The average person doesn't. So when you're looking at reading about what these celebrities do, it may or may not work for you just for that very reason alone. Just remember, what works for someone is not going to work for you, per se. All right, I think that's it for today. All right, thank you for listening to my diet versus the lifestyle change. And one versus the other, they both have their place, but for long-term lasting effects, then make sure that we're going for the lifestyle as opposed to the diet. If you want a temporary fix, then by all means, do your dieting, but you want to make sure that you do it a healthy way, because you don't want to do anything that's going to adversely affect your health, obviously. All right? Okay, so how you guys doing on this Monday morning? It was a scorcher this weekend, wasn't it? I think I had like 115 here. I live in inland Southern California, live in Vista. So it got up really, really hot. Like, there was some places where the power went off because so many people were using their air conditioning that it was an overextension of the power. But so hopefully you guys have recovered from the weekend. And there was so much traffic. I think a lot of people, when it comes to the summertime, they come down to Southern California and go down to San Diego. So traffic was horrendous this weekend. Fortunately for me, I went north, so the traffic wasn't that bad. But guess what? Eventually I had to come back south, and even though it was later on that evening, it was still traffic. So it was like traffic all day. But anyway, and see, that's stress. And then when you're stressed, guess what you do? You want to eat. Okay, off that one. So now we're moving on to the yoga portion. And when it comes to yoga and meditation, I want you to understand that these are practices, which means there's never a perfection. It's a practice, it's a process. It's something that you do, and you don't give up. You be patient with yourself, and over time you start to receive results. And even when you start to see results, there will of course be spikes, which means sometimes you'll be doing great, sometimes you won't be doing as great, but it's a practice. Okay, particularly I'm speaking now with meditation, because a lot of times what I get with people is like, I get that, meditation is good for you, but I'm really having trouble just really quieting my mind and getting rid of the thoughts. Well, one, don't beat yourself up, because having thoughts is a sign of a healthy, mind, right? But what you're trying to do, the practice is trying to control those thoughts. And over time, if you just, one, focus on your breathing, like find something to focus on. In this case, your breathing. And just keep, every time those thoughts come into your mind, just gently push them aside. Don't focus on them, because if you focus on them, now you're back to the thought processes, right? And by the way, did you know that average on a day, there's over like 70,000 thoughts that goes through an average person's mind? 70,000 thoughts on a day, on a daily basis. So as you can see, it's going to always be there. But if you just focus on your breath, and then when the thoughts come, just gently push them aside and say, I'm going to focus on my breath. And over time, you'll do it. A lot of times with meditation, let's say it's a 5-minute meditation, it may just be 15 seconds or 20 seconds. But guess what? Over time, those will add up. Okay? Sometimes you may, for the 5 minutes, you may get the focus for, 2 minutes or 1 minute or 4 minutes, okay? Or seconds. Just be patient. It is a practice. You're trying to learn how to control the thoughts. Once you do that over an extended period of time, then you will get better at it, okay? Now, same thing with yoga. The routine that I'm doing today is it's going to get your heart rate up, because we're going to be doing some movement. It is early in the morning, okay? So I want to do some movement. This is not stretching, okay? I want you to understand that yoga is not stretching. I've had some questions that I will address on a future something. It won't be a broadcast per se. But about what I do as far as the yoga, one is not stretching. This is not a stretching, this is yoga. So when we're talking about yoga, it's more of the mind, body, spirit connection. Remember, everything I do is about the transformation. Another thing is, someone was asking me about the music. Yes, the music that I have, that I'm playing, it's not just regular music, right? This is music. Usually the music that I'm playing is used to invoke chakras or open up your chakras, and I haven't talked about that because, again, this is, the mind portion is something totally different. But maybe I'll address that in the physical, maybe not. That could be like another broadcast. But yes, I do use some have the binary beats, and then yes, it has the frequencies, and these are things that you probably don't know about. Well, guess what? I know that. So that's why I'm introducing them to you. So, but how I'm introducing to it is just by playing, and then people are saying, oh, I love that music, what's it about? And then that's an opportunity for me to then share what the music is about. Okay, so just want you to know that there's nothing by accident on here. Everything is pretty much researched and calculated, if you will. All right, so with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the yoga. We're going to start off in the child's pose position. In the child's pose position, I want you to make sure that your feet are together and that your knees are spread out apart. And I'm using the mat, so your knees are out toward the edges of the mat. I want you to slowly walk your palms, your fingertips, your palms down so that your arms are extended overhead. Your forehead, the crown of your head is facing forward, which means your forehead is facing on the mat. And I want you to start off with 3 deep Ujjayi breaths. Immediately after this, we will go right into the meditation portion of it, and it will be a guided meditation. All right, so child's pose. Practice with me. So again, we're going to start off with 3 deep breaths in child's pose. On the next inhalation, I want you to come up on your fingertips, and I want you just to feel the elongations in the arms, the lower back, just stretching out. Go ahead and press those armpits down toward the mat. Again, continue breathing, nice and deep, inhaling through your nose, and exhaling through your mouth. Try to get those sit bones down toward the heels, and again, just feel the elongation in your body all the way from your fingertips to your tailbone. Now go ahead and place your palms down, and then walk your hands back so that your palms are directly underneath your shoulders, and then bring your knees in so that they're directly underneath your hips. You're ready to the tabletop. So we're going to start here with some deep breaths, inhaling through your nose. And then as you exhale, I want you to drop your chin down to your chest. I want you to round through your spine. Tuck your tailbone under into the cat position. As you inhale, your head and chest comes forward. Arch your back. Tailbone sticks out toward the back of the room. Again, just pressing those shoulder blades down away from the ears. As you exhale, round through the spine. Tuck the tailbone under, chin goes down to your chest. Inhale, again, nice and slow, just kind of take your time. Just massaging that spine. Exhale. Again, inhaling. And then this time as you exhale, just bring it back to the tabletop position. Now I want you to curl your toes under, and let's go to downward facing dog. In this position, your fingers and your toes are spread out nice and wide. Your arms are hip distance apart, your arms are shoulder distance apart, and your feet are hip distance apart. If this is too much stress for you, feel free to walk your feet out toward the width of the mat and use a wide stance downward facing dog. Now go and just pedal your legs. Just feeling as you lengthen and getting those heels down toward the mat. Again, you're pressing your chest toward your thighs and your knees. Now, on your next inhalation, I want you to bring that left foot forward to your fingertips. Place the right knee down, uncurl the toes, and then bring the palms together at the very top. Keep your head in line with your bicep and look up. This is a low lunge. Pressing your hips down toward the mat. Nice deep ujjayi breaths. Relax those shoulders, press them down and away from the ears. Now release the palms down. Curl the toes under on the right foot and bring the left foot back. And take it back to downward facing dog. And continue to pedal those legs. Remember, this juncture, we're just doing what feels comfortable to you. Come up on the ball, the top of your toes. Roll down to the balls, your feet all the way down to the heels. On your next inhalation, I want you to bring that right foot forward toward the fingertips. Left knee comes down, uncurl the toe. Lift the chest up. Greet the palms together. Head goes in line with your bicep, and we go to the low lunge. Again, relax the shoulders down and away from your ears. You're looking up at the sky or towards the sky. Nice deep ujjayi breaths. Release the palms back down to the mat. Curl the toes under on the left foot, and then take the right foot back to downward facing dog. And again, just pedal your legs, sway your body. And then I want you to walk your fingertips back toward your toes. Take a nice deep breath, inhaling. Exhale, dive the body forward. I want you to inchworm to the plank. Release your hips down to the mat, uncurl the toes, relax your shoulders, upward facing dog. Curl the toes under. Inchworm all the way back. Inhale, take it all the way up. Arch back. Exhale, forward fold. Dive the body forward to the forward fold. Inchworm to the plank. Release the hips. Uncurl the toes, relax the shoulders. Head goes up toward the sky. Curl the toes under. Inchworm back. Again, inhale. Take it up. Dive the body forward to forward fold. Inchworm to the plank. Release your hips. Relax your shoulders. Uncurl your toes. Curl the toes under. Walk it back. Inhale, take it all the way up. Dive the body forward. This is on the exhale. Inchworm to the plank. Release the hips. Relax the shoulders. Uncurl the toes. Lengthen, open up the chest. Take it back. Inhale, take it all the way up. Arch back. Exhale, forward fold. Inchworm. Release the hips, relax the shoulders. Open up the chest. Head goes up toward the sky. Curl the toes under. This time, let's take it back to downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, we're going to go to plank. For plank, take it back to downward facing dog. Take it back to plank. And then downward facing dog. Take it to the plank. And down facing dog. Hold plank. And then down facing dog. Now this time we're going to hold plank here. And then take that left foot, bring it toward your fingertips. Press the hips down toward the mat. Switch with your right foot. Now at this point, again, if you want to bring the heart rate up even higher, you can actually do the jump lunges. Now I attempted to do this on Saturday, and with the socks, they came off. So I won't do it today. But you can actually do a jump lunge, which alternating the switches. One more time. And return back to the plank, and then down facing dog. Now this time you're going to walk your feet in. Keep your palms on the mat. Keep your knees bent. And then slowly round it up. Take it one vertebrae at a time. Making sure your hands last to rise. Rotate shoulders down and back. Now take a nice deep breath. Inhaling. As you exhale, dive the body forward. Place the palms flat. Bend the knees. Walk your feet out toward the edges of the mat. Your toes are at an angle. Drop your sits bones down toward the mat. And then bring the palms together, using your elbows to push out on those inner thighs. On the exhale, bow your head down. Now go ahead and release the palms down to the mat. And then place it behind you. Transition your weight so that you're coming to a seated cross-legged position facing to the front. Make sure that you're on your sits bones, not the fleshy part of your bottom. Fingertips down toward the mat. Take a nice deep breath. As you inhale, your arms come up. And as you exhale, arms go back down toward the mat. Again, just take your time and use your breath. Again, inhale. And exhale. One more time, deep breath. Inhaling. This time we're going to reach the palms together at the very top. Exhale down through the center. And namaste. Okay, so this brings us to the meditation portion. So in this comfortable cross-legged seated position, I want you to take a nice deep breath. Inhale through your nose. And exhale into your mouth. As you take your next breath, I want you simply just to be a little bit more conscious. Making no judgments, just seeing where you are, seeing what your body feels like. Notice any tension, stress, negative energy floating around in your body. Time to release those. Take a nice deep breath. And as you exhale, go ahead and close your eyes. Drop your chin down towards your chest. As you inhale, your head and chest comes up. Forehead goes up toward the sky, lifting up your chin, relaxing those shoulders. And as you exhale, release your chin down toward your chest. Again, as you inhale, your head and chest goes all the way up. Forehead goes up toward the sky. And as you exhale, release your chin down toward your chest. Again, take a nice deep breath, inhaling. Forehead goes up toward the sky, lift up your chin. Keep your eyes closed, and as you exhale, just bring your chin forward. Head comes to natural extension of your spine. Continue breathing. I want you to pretend that your feet are rooted to the ground, like there's the root just growing out from the bottom of your feet, just implanting, grounding yourself to the ground. Go ahead and wiggle your toes. Stretch those feet. Take a nice deep breath. Inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. Just focus on nice deep ujjayi breaths. As you inhale, your abdomen expands, your chest rises as the diaphragm makes its way up toward the chest cavity. And as you exhale, your chest collapses, your abdomens go in as the diaphragm returns back to its original position. Keep breathing. Now feel the focus in your legs, and what do they feel like? Any tension or stress in those legs? As you inhale, just notice and don't make any judgment. Just notice the tension and stress in those legs. And as you exhale, I want you to direct your breath toward those muscles to release and relax that tension. Now as you're breathing on the inhale, I want you to notice your sits bones, your gluteals, all those muscles in your bottom. Are they tight? Again, making no judgment, just noticing them. And as you exhale, I want you to direct your breath toward those areas. And just release and relax the tension. As you take a nice deep breath, I want you to clear your mind. Don't worry about the past. Don't worry about the future. Just focus on the here and the now. This present moment. On your next inhalation, I want you to notice any tension and stress that's located in your torso area. It's your abs, your chest, the upper part of your back. And as you exhale, just direct your breath toward those areas. Just release and relax the tension. Continue breathing. Now on your next inhalation, I want you to notice your shoulders. Are they up toward your ears? As you exhale, release, relax. Just let all the tension and stress just kind of slide down your shoulders. Now I want you to notice any tension and stress in your forehead, your eyes, your ears, your cheeks, your nose, the back of your neck. And as you exhale, just release and relax the tension in those areas. Again, take a nice deep breath, inhaling. And as you exhale, just think in terms of relaxing all the areas of your body that may have tightened since we've addressed those. All right, give me a nice deep breath, inhaling through your nose. And exhaling through your mouth. Again, deep breath, inhaling through your nose. And exhaling through your mouth. One more time, a nice deep breath. Inhaling through your nose. And exhaling through your mouth. Now go ahead and open up your eyes. Release, relax, return, refresh, and calm. You've done something good for yourself today. And all it takes is just 5 minutes to make a big difference in your life. So as you go about today, if you feel yourself getting stressed, just take 3 deep breaths. Nice deep breath. Even if you don't close your eyes, just 3 deep breaths. And just relax and release all the tension that you're feeling at that current moment. And just stay focused on that breath. Thank you for joining this with me in this meditation and also for this broadcast of Transform Your Life in 15 minutes. Today's word is cope. So I want you to think in terms of productive ways to deal with your pain so that you can have more enjoyment out of life. One way to do that is to meditate. Just focus on your breath. Inhaling deeply through your nose, exhaling through your mouth. Again, it's been my pleasure, and I will see you same time tomorrow. Bye.